I would argue set up your saving strategy first. Then you can spend whatever's left over. A lot of people do it backwards. Even if you're retired, you can do the same thing. Your savings when you're retired is not a matter of putting money into an account. It's not spending more than your account is generating.
Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to Upticks with Jake and Cory. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me.
Cory, did you have a good holiday season?
I did. I feel like I blinked and it came and went, but it was good. Lots of family time, ready to, roll into 2025 now. I'm excited. I love this time of year, personally. How about you?
Do you?
I do.
I am not a fan of this time of year, Cory. Golf.
No golf.
I don't get to golf, and it's not fun hitting golf balls into a screen in my office. Spoiled brat that I am.
That's right.
Not as fun. And I'm very fortunate. I've got a great life. So every day is Christmas to me. So what's weird is I think a lot of people get a holiday high and then they get that holiday hangover or that low.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I don't get any of that. Like, I think every day is Christmas. I'm always a little bit higher probably than the normal person, and not in a drug way, Cory. I'm talking about like I'm probably a little bit more happier, more optimistic than a lot of people. So I don't get this. Perk up. I'm not a bah humbug guy either. Don't get me wrong. I like Christmas, making sure Rachel's happy, and all is well. We did do some this weekend. We did some. Have you ever done this annual vacation planning?
Yep.
Credit to us.
All right. So what's on the docket?
We're going to beautiful Costa Rica, Cory. Didn't you go there on your honeymoon?
Sure did. Yes, it was amazing.
So I got Rachel, there's this resort that it's basically a chain that we really like to stay at. And I got her a gift certificate for Christmas to go to any one of them within reason, any one of the chains. And they have one in Costa Rica. So I think we're going to try to book it for late February, early March, before golf season. Look at me. Thinking on that one, Cory.
That's right.
On that one before golf season. And so I'm going to have to get some tips from you. I don't think we're going to be on the water. I think it's going to be in the jungle a little bit, and we're going to do some hiking. It's really a relaxation resort type place.
Yep.
So it's really just going to be kind of like a wellness retreat for both of us. So I'm excited.
Do they have the natural hot springs there? Do you know?
Well, they got a spring. They call it a spring. It might be a mud hole for all I know. But we'll see. Did you get in that?
We'll report back in a few months.
You get in that natural spring?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the place that we stayed that was inland, like near the volcano there were like 12 to 15 different springs that were all different temperatures, and it was all natural. It was basically just sort of where it was located on the land in relation to the volcano.
Cool.
It's pretty neat, though. I'm excited for you guys. That's awesome. You're going to love
so that's our big one. I think a couple trips to New York. I'm trying to think if we had anything else, though. Those were the kind of the big ones. Maybe San Antonio. But what about you? You got anything?
No, we don't. Actually, no, I stand corrected. We just booked, Jake, this weekend, actually, the same way maybe you did. Memorial Day weekend, Cassie and I are going to take Daisy to Chicago to see my brother.
Nice. It'll be a good time.
So we're going to, take the baby on an airplane, see how that goes, but we're locked in. We just need to do it. So that's the only thing on the docket.
Well, that'll be fun, though. Rachel's, one of her good friends, they take their baby all over the place on planes, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. So I'm happy for you guys. It's cool.
Yep.
All right, so a special shout out here from Luke, our communications manager. He wanted me to point out today, Cory, that January is supposedly, Cory, Financial Wellness Month. There we go. So he wanted to point out that we'll be sharing content on Falcon Wealth Advisors' social media pages and right here on Upticks, or in the newsletter, I guess, promoting financial literacy throughout the month. Now, Cory, I have a little bit of offense to this, Corey. I think every month is financial literacy month because that's what you and I do. But I guess the country thinks January is the noted month. But the topics will be budgeting, investing, planning, and spending, Corey. So again, please like and share our
Mm.
content. I'm out there on Instagram. That's where I've been publishing a lot more content lately. You can simply follow me at Jake_Falcon_CRPC if you want more of my great content, Corey. In my opinion, my great content, right? So,
I
and I know
like it.
you're pretty active on LinkedIn. So again, find you out there on LinkedIn. You and I are getting a little bit more social with the social media. All right,
Well,
Corey, you got
January
anything
though,
else?
yeah, I was gonna say, Jake, January might be financial wellness month, but let's make 2025 financial wellness year and every year that follows
Ooh,
that.
look at that,
Same way.
Corey. I like it. Financial
We'll take time
wellness
off from
year.
financial wellness.
No time off for that. All right, good. Let's go ahead. Let's play ball, Corey.
All right, let's do it. All right, Jake, our first headline here today, what you can learn from young Warren Buffett.
Yeah, did you read this article, Corey, in the Wall
I
Street
did not.
Journal? Okay, so here's the deal. Somebody, I don't know the name of the book, so don't hold me to that, but there's a book out there. Somebody basically did the research of Warren Buffett's early investments.
Okay.
And then what he did is that he or she, I don't forget who the author is, they researched how much information Warren Buffett would have had about these companies up until then. You know what I mean? So like they're not
Yep.
using hindsight 2020. They said, okay, Warren knew all he could possibly know about this investment was X. And he chose to make that investment. I thought that's pretty cool. It's a pretty good idea for a book. So this is talking about his
Mm.
first millions he made in undervalued companies during the 1950s and 60s. So we're going way back here. The article or the book also emphasizes the importance of thorough research and patience. You know, we're talking about the 50s or 60s. The article talks about that while Buffett's strategies were highly effective in his time, replicating them today may be more challenging due to increased market efficiency. So, here it is. The name of the book, Corey, is
Mm.
it's called Buffett's Early Investments,
Okay.
and it's by Brett Gardner. So there's 10 specific investments that this guy analyzed out there. And so here's my point here. Here's where I want to go pro con with our theory of our show here.
Okay.
Is that should you, if you, all right, so this is for someone that's a savvy do-it-yourselfer, whatever. Should they try to replicate Buffett's strategy, Corey, with 5 to 10% of their portfolio? All right, so I'll start off with the pros because it's my article.
Okay.
So the pro of doing this, and again, this is not advice, I'm not endorsing this, but if you do this, you have potential for high returns. Because if you invest in undervalued companies and they shoot up, right? They go to the moon, you can make a lot of money. So that is a pro of trying to hit a home run, basically is what I'm saying.
Sure. And one of the cons, though, Jake, I think, is the market efficiency that the article, it sounds like, pointed out. Markets are more efficient today. That makes it more difficult to find undervalued stocks with the same potential for growth. Like, I think that was a whole different ballgame in the 50s and 60s than it is today.
Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine trying to do research on a stock without the internet?
Not really.
Could you imagine trying to do that?
Not really.
Exactly. I don't know what I would do.
I really can't.
And now
I have not, now that I think about it. Not in my
and
lifetime.
now I'm leaning on Copilot, AI. Now, again, Copilot AI is not the official thing, right? So you got to take it with a grain of salt. There's a lot of
Sure.
errors in Copilot, but
Right.
boy, I've been leaning on AI to do my research just about personal things or even,
Yep.
learning things. So again, imagine what Warren Buffett was doing in the 50s or 60s to do his. Anyways, all right.
Who was
So
his co-pilot? That's the question.
Charlie Munger, I don't know. I don't know who
Maybe.
his co-pilot was. But all right. So number two, the reason to potentially consider this is that it is a learning experience. So again, if you're attempting to replicate Buffett's methods, you could learn and get valuable insights into investment strategies and just the market behavior. So again, I think it's a good learning, particularly for like the young people out there, right? You're in your 20s, you don't have a lot of money anyways, and you want to try to be the next Warren Buffett. More power to you. The key here, and full disclosure, is you never want to invest or risk anything that you can't afford to lose, right? You don't want to screw up your entire financial plan by doing this. All right, what's another con, Corey?
Yeah, I think The risk, right? That learning experience, Jake, could be a very expensive one. Allocating a portion of your portfolio to high risk investments can lead to significant losses. It can lead to significant gains, but it can lead to losses too, especially if the investments do not perform the way that they're expected to.
Right. And I would, the article says 5 to 10%. I think that's too high. I would do 1%, literally 1%. You
So
know,
was the idea though, Jake, that Warren, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is
go
the
ahead.
idea that Warren Buffett basically made more heavily concentrated bets in these specific companies that he perceived then is undervalued?
I think so. It was a
Yeah.
while ago since I read the article, but I think that's what it's getting at. That I think like maybe he only made 10 investments, but with a lot of money.
Okay.
And I don't think you could argue he got lucky, but the problem with that is that the guy's been doing well for decades, So it's
Right.
not like he made $1 billion in 1950 and he's just been sitting on it.
True.
He
Good
made
point.
money, but again, this is a thesis that worked for Warren Buffett. It worked in the 1950s and 60s. Some would argue it wouldn't work today because again, markets are far more efficient. Things move a lot faster. I think the guy was like literally Corey going to the company's headquarters and talking to the CEO. Like
Right.
that's
Yep.
what he was doing. So you're going to
Yep.
go to New York or Indiana or wherever, like you're going to leave and go. And then do you really think a CEO is going to talk to an individual investor? I mean, come on. Right?
Right. Yeah,
Probably
you're right
not.
about that.
Probably not. I don't know how Warren Buffett got access, but he did. Maybe these companies were so small and they needed investors so badly that they wanted to talk to him. But
And the world
again,
was a different place before the internet. It
it
just
was a
was.
different place. You're right. You're right. So yeah, maybe CEOs were much more likely to take those types of meetings. But anyways, might be. Are you going to read the book? Did I pique your interest on reading the book?
My interest is peaked, but I've got a long stack of books, Jake, to work through. But I'll add this one to that stack.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to read it. I don't think I'm going to read it because I don't think it pertains to today. And you know what, though, Corey? I'm not trying to be Warren Buffett either. Now,
Right.
I don't want our clients to take offense to that. We are trying to hit our targets, our clients' target rate of returns. That's what I'm trying to do. So if my client's target rate of return is 6%, we're trying to make them 6%. Now, we don't need to be Warren Buffett to do. We don't need to go buy beat up, crappy companies and hope that they go up to do that. So
We don't
we
have a lot of
believe,
clients that plan to work until their 90s either,
right,
right?
like Warren Buffett. And good for
Circumstances are
Warren.
different. They're
Good for
different.
Warren.
Right.
Good
So
for
the approach
Warren.
might be different, though, if you're planning on working until you're in your 90s.
Yes, it
The
is a
way you
lot
invest
different.
your money might be different.
You're right. You're right. You're right. So again, our clients' goals and objectives are different. I thought it was a cool article, though. I think it's cool that somebody did the research and did the work and put it in writing. I think that's awesome. So,
Yep.
all right, good.
Good.
Let's. What do you want to move on to the next one here, Corey?
Yes, I think so.
All right, here we go, Corey. So, Corey, insurance and taxes now cost more than mortgages for many homeowners. That's crazy, Corey, because a mortgage used to be the most expensive thing people paid for. All right, what do you got here?
Yeah. So this was a recent article, Jake, from the Wall Street Journal that just talked about how homeownership is straining budgets across the country because of the rising cost of homeowners insurance and property tax. And there have been big homeowner insurance rate increases because of losses from natural disasters and, frankly, rising costs to repair homes, right, in an inflationary environment.
Mhm.
And then lastly, surging home values in recent years have lifted property taxes. So I want to point this out real quick, Jake. This was interesting that in September of 2024, so just a few months ago, 32% of the average single family mortgage payment went to taxes and insurance. So 32%, almost a third of the payment was for taxes and insurance. Presumably the other third would be principal and interest. But that
The
is
last
the highest.
third. Wait, that's only 2/3.
No, I'm saying a third each. A third, a third, a third.
Oh, a third for what?
Principal, insurance, and then your taxes and homeowners insurance. Did I just say insurance twice?
I don't know what you did,
Principal,
Corey.
interest, and then a combination of insurance and taxes.
So you think it's a third principal, a third interest, and a third insurance and taxes?
I think
That was-
what I do
that's-
know is that 32% of the payment went to taxes and insurance, which is the highest rate ever for the data. Now, the data from ICE only goes back to 2014. So I just wanted to bring this up today, Jake, because I wanted to bring awareness to the issue and, frankly, to debunk the rent is throwing money away connotation, because, frankly, I just don't think it's that simple. And I want to talk, though, today real quick, Jake, for our format, the pros to increasing expenses, or maybe an alternate perspective to rising costs. And then I'd love to hear from you on the other side of that. So the first pro, Jake, I think from all of this is that it is bringing awareness to the true cost of homeownership. I
Mm.
think that people evaluate, frankly, mortgage payment versus rent payment and don't always thoroughly think things through beyond that. And there's a lot more that's involved. And that's what I appreciate about this article, because it did focus a lot more on problems, Jake, than it did solutions. But I appreciate bringing awareness to the cost of homeownership.
Yeah, I like that one, Core. I like the fact that you're saying higher costs are telling people that it's not as easy to own a home as people might originally think. Good one. Okay. A con to these rising prices, Core, is especially older Americans are on fixed income, many of them, right? Or maybe, they can't afford these hikes because Social Security is not increasing at that rate. Or if they have a fixed pension, the pension's not going up at all. So again,
Right.
that's squeezing older Americans. What's another pro? Can't believe you're saying pros to higher costs. That's pretty
I
funny.
know. I know. Well, enhanced property value. Rising property
Yeah.
taxes do often reflect an increase in property values. So homeowners may have more equity and potential profits if they sell. I do think that is an upside to higher prices.
Right, right. Another con here, Corey, is that higher prices intensify the lack of affordability.
Mm.
So, like, if you're trying to get in a home to begin with, it's hard to be a first time home buyer right now.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is because what's so interesting about this, though, is that older homeowners, right, are in the position where they may be vulnerable if their income is really fixed and these costs go up. But on the front end, right, for people that want to buy homes, prices already being where they're at, interest rates being where they're at, it's a challenge. So,
Yeah.
um, the
Give me
flip
another
side,
pro.
though, another pro, frankly, to the rising cost, Jake, is the market stability. Increased costs can lead to a more stable and predictable market. So as higher taxes and insurance premiums continue to increase, that may deter speculative investments and promote long-term homeownership.
Yeah.
So
All
flushing
right.
out some of the speculation.
All right. You got anything else? I got no other cons for you. It's all the
No,
cons I
that
have
felt
for
a little bit like a reach in terms of trying to come up with the pros for rising costs. But I think the biggest one is that this does bring awareness to how, again, the cost of homeownership has changed, and the calculations for it are different now than they were before.
you. All right. Fair enough. Let's go on. Let's do another one.
All right,
What else we
Jake,
got?
it's 100% true. Acorn's CEO on the U.S. retirement crisis and how to save $4.5 million.
Yeah, Corey, this article is from Barron's and it features an interview with Noah Kerner, who's the CEO of Acorns. You know what
Hmm,
Acorns is?
I do.
So, just for our audience, Acorns is basically an app that if you spend $45.30 on gas, it'll round it up to 46 bucks and that 70 cents will go into an Acorn account, right? Isn't that how it
Mhm.
works? I never had one.
Yep,
That's
that's
how it
right. I
works.
think that's exactly how it works.
So basically, he's saying there's a retirement crisis, savings crisis in the US, and he emphasizes that many Americans are unprepared for retirement due to inadequate savings and a lack of financial literacy. Again, that's the whole point of Upticks. Thank you again to our audience. Please like and share our content. Our subscriber count continues to grow. Quick plug, Corey. Again, share this with your friends and family and like 5-star reviews. We'll take all of it. So he's highlighting the role of financial services companies like us, Corey,
Mm,
but he's saying that they're failing to provide accessible and
mm.
effective tools for saving and investment. And again, he's plugging his own company, but they address this issue by offering a platform that simplifies investing and encourages good habits. So here's some pros of Acorns. Basically, like we just talked about, increased awareness. The article brings attention to the critical issue of retirement savings and encourages you to do something. Now, again, I am not at all endorsing Acorns. I don't know much about them, so I'm not saying this is what you need to do. I think the key is having awareness. That's the pro of it. You got a con for me, Corey?
The dependence on technology, relying on apps like this, Jake, might not be suitable for everyone, especially for people that aren't tech savvy.
Yeah, the alternative to that though is it's pretty simple. So
Mhm.
you just kind of get it set up. There's an app and you get it going. You probably spend 15, 20 minutes setting it up and then it's going and it's automatically doing everything. So there's a little bit of work on the front end, but it's a whole lot simpler than probably
There's a
other.
lot of technology we've been told is simple, Jake.
Right.
Okay. But yeah,
Right.
give me another pro, please.
Another pro is a focus on financial literacy. So it emphasizes the importance of financial education and helping individuals make informed decisions about their retirement, Corey. So again, just encouraging a more educated, population.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. And I think, a con, Jake, is cost, right? Potential fees. I'm sure while Acorns aims to be affordable, users need to be aware of costs associated with the service that can impact their overall savings, especially, frankly, in my opinion, if the savings transactions are happening 50, 60, 70 cents at a time.
Right. Right. So again, my whole point of this is I don't, and again, I know I'm on the pro side. My pro side is have some awareness, right? Um, Money does compound. So, in my era, Corey, it was a piggy bank, or we would roll quarters or pennies or nickels and
Yep.
dimes. I think this is kind of that concept
Mm.
of throwing all your loose change. But the beauty of this is maybe you could throw this loose change into an account and actually make money on it while it's sitting there. Because if you're rolling quarters at home, those quarters aren't earning you any interest. So again, just bring awareness to your spending. And more importantly, probably or just as important, bring awareness to your saving. Here's the deal. I got a real quick point here.
All right, good.
I spend guilt free, Corey. Guilt free.
Yep.
Some may say, including my wife sometimes, some may say I spend a lot of money on golf. Some may say that. But I'll tell you why it's okay. I'll tell you why it's okay, Corey. It's because I have a financial plan. And my financial plan tells me exactly how much money I need to save in my retirement accounts, in my brokerage account, every single year in order for my current financial goals to happen. It tells me. So I make sure, Corey, that I save that amount that's non-negotiable. Okay. It's non-negotiable. I am saving that amount in my retirement account, in my brokerage, and whatever's left over is guilt-free. Guilt-free spending. Credit to me. So again, I
Credit
think
to you.
a lot of people do it backwards. They're like, "Well, Jake, I can't afford to do that. I have bills to pay." My argument is you can't afford not to do it.
Yep.
So, I would argue set up your saving strategy first. Then you can spend whatever's left over. A lot of people do it backwards. Even if you're retired, you can do the same thing. Your savings when you're retired is not a matter of putting money into an account. It's not spending more than your account is generating. So it's the same concept though. If you're getting 50,000 in
Mm.
dividends and interest
Mhm.
and you and your spouse are getting 50,000 in social security, you know what? You can spend 100,000. That's it. That's what you can spend, right? The rest is savings. So that's again another way to look at it. We can see both sides of that coin. But for me, someone who's still working, I save first and I spend next. But you know what? Guilt free. I go buy that golf club. I got the money because I'm saving what I need to save. You have any thoughts on that? So I don't need acorns because I have already got a financial plan. I think acorns is good for someone who doesn't have a financial plan. And again, I'm not endorsing acorns compliance. I'm just saying setting up some sort of automatic savings if you don't have a plan is probably a good thing.
If I may, Jake, just add a little bit of a personal anecdote to this. I think
Let's
that
hear
so
it.
you and I have worked together for almost 15 years now.
Corey, will you
And
point your mic? Will you point your mic towards you? There
does
we
that
go.
sound better?
Oh yeah, I just want to make sure our audience can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. So I just wanted to point out though, Jake, so you and I have worked together almost 15 years in the world of finance, exactly what you just described. I'm going to say, Jake, credit to me also for spending guilt-free also. But
All
I
right,
want to
Corey,
point
credit
out
to you.
though that it has taken years and years of learning and adjusting and making changes along the way. Like I do think it's important to point out that what you and I are talking about here today, this is not something, at least for myself, that I was just born innately with and figured out, right? It's something that I've just if you bring awareness to it and pay attention to it, you can learn from that because I know from being on both sides of that when you get to the point where you have your financial plan established, you know what you need to be saving, that really is what gives you the liberty to spend more freely without guilt. And I also think, Jake, though, the non-negotiable point is crucial that you made because it's the same for me. If for one reason or another things happen, if I have to sacrifice things in my life so I can still meet those savings goals, that's absolutely what I would do, right? If I had to spend less money in order to make that happen, or if there was less
Right.
left over, that's number one, first and foremost, and should be the case for virtually anybody who's saving and working.
Right. That's good, Corey. Yes, I have my retirement account. I
Yep.
have a brokerage account. I just started this year a health savings account for me and
Yep.
Rachel. I got Rachel's retirement, and then I've got an emergency fund. All of that's got to be funded, right? Before I can go buy that shiny new golf club,
Yep.
right?
Good.
But so this is why, people that give me a hard time, which is fine, it bother me. I'm tough. People that give me a hard time about how much money I spend on golf or
Mm.
whatever, it doesn't matter because my financial plan is set up. So whatever I do with that money, it doesn't matter to them. And it doesn't. So
Just like you don't judge clients for how they spend money guilt-free. As long as if people are checking the
exactly.
boxes they need to and things are on track, go do it. That's what the money's for, right?
Right. And actually, I was talking about this with Rachel. Actually, we were talking about old money versus new money.
Mhm.
It is
Okay.
to me, this is my personal opinion, and this is good, Corey. We want to get more opinionated this year. So we are. So I think being a cheapo, a tightwad, frugal, just for sake of it, is a character flaw.
Mm.
I really think it is. Although those people that have millions of dollars, but they drive an old beat up truck. I think they're doing that for ego, Corey. Like I think there's a reverse thing going on there that they want to be righteous and they want people to think that they're poor. And again, if you don't want a nice car, that's fine. But like my point is again,
You're
there's
just
no
throwing an
judgment.
example out. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just an example. But my judgment, there's no judgment here. But my point is, if you're going to be cheap, don't claim you're being cheap to help your financial plan.
Mm.
You're being cheap because that's your character. As being cheap has nothing really to do with a financial plan, if you think about it. And now, if you have to be cheap because of your financial plan, that is completely different than just being cheap for cheap's sake. And that's where I'm getting at. Like, so
Mm.
again, I just want to encourage our audience. If your friends accuse you of being a tightwad and a cheapo, and if your financial plan has some cushion in it, I would encourage you to revisit why are you doing that? And it's okay if you're like, you know what, my parents are poor and I don't ever want to have that feeling. Then that's okay. But if you're doing it for pride or righteousness or ego, that's what I'm getting at here. I want you to check in on why are you being a tightwad? If you can afford to upgrade that seat and on Southwest Airline, the 15 bucks or whatever it is, what is it? 50 bucks, 15
I
bucks?
think it's 25 now. Get that early bird. That's right.
Why
Something
aren't
like
you
that.
doing it? Why aren't you doing it if you can afford it? That's my question. Are you just being cheap to be cheap?
Hmm.
That's my question. That's again, it's pretty opinionated. Again, first and foremost, I want people's financial plan to be solid, but you got to understand if you're being a tightwad, why are you? Do you have to be one? That's completely fine. If your financial plan says you got to cut your spending because you're going to run out of money, then by all means, you need to be a tightwad. But if you're being a tightwad just because you think that looks cool, I have a problem with that. That's just as bad as
Mm.
my point as people buying flashy stuff to look cool. My point is both of those are character flaws, in my opinion. And neither one of them are right. In fact, they're both wrong.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I think that yeah, the challenge, Jake, I think though, is that don't you think that being cheap or being a tightwad is very subjective?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, exactly. Like some people could consider me a tightwad,
Sure.
you
So I
know?
mean, like if you have friends that accuse you of this or that, like I think your bigger point, one, which I agree with, is that you need to check in on why your behavior around money is what it is, whether you're
Yes,
spending
Corey.
too much of it or not enough.
Yes, yes, I agree. I think what I'm getting into is the psychology of money and your
Yep.
relationship with money. And again, if you're being a tightwad just to be a tightwad, you got to unpack that cycle out of because here's the problem though, Corey. A lot of
Mhm.
tightwads judge other people that have nice things, and that bothers me.
For spending.
Yes, that bothers me. And it's like, look, you can't take your money with you, So here's this juggle that we're all playing as humans. Is like, how much do you want to leave your heirs? How much do you want to give to charity? And how much do you want to live off of? Right. And so you've got to balance all of those things. And it all starts with a financial plan. It really does. I mean, I think anybody in today's day and age should have a financial plan. It used to be reserved for the wealthy. Only the wealthy people had
Mm.
advisors. But now
Yep.
that's been democratized. There's other online tools. If you don't work with us, there's things out there online that you can develop a financial plan or just a spreadsheet or whatever. Like there's things you can do to create a financial plan. But you that's where I was going with this whole
The
comment is that
relationship.
you got to start with that relationship with money. You got to make sure that you're saving or you're spending an adequate amount. And then whatever you do with the excess is on you and there should be no judgment. But it's just these people that are being tight for no reason. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's
Just like,
interesting. Yeah.
hold on. Just like I don't like people that are flashy for no reason. Like I hate to see somebody driving a BMW 7 Series that has 50,000 in credit card debt also, right?
Mm.
Like I don't like to see that. I don't like to see someone whose car payment is more than their mortgage, right? Or they have credit card debt and they're driving a fancy car. Like I don't like that either. That is an unhealthy relationship with money, just like being a tightwad for no reason is an unhealthy. That's what I'm getting at. So there's both of those are wrong in my opinion.
And what's also interesting, Jake, is the other thing that struck me, and this is it's less common, but it's aligned with the same thing, is like you hear the stories about people winning the lottery and then being broke.
Yes.
And it's because there's something, the relationship with money. Like I think
Right.
if you come into money that you maybe don't think that you've deserved or you earn, like you're going to quickly get rid of it. But just
Yes.
conversely, like I feel like being a tightwad, right? It's kind of like, I've never had a client, Jake, tell me when we've talked about what their long-term financial plan and what their goals that they're really trying to accomplish look like. I've never had anybody say my goal is to hoard wealth. Not once.
Right.
But that's exactly what you're talking about.
Well, that's a lot of people do.
I
That's a
know.
lot of people. And that's another good point, Corey, that I was just thinking is that when you are, hoarding wealth or not spending money, it's like, well, that's what the coach says. Like one of my business coaches says, like, do you deserve, like, will you allow yourself to deserve nice things? I think that's the deal is like, I think it's like negative self-talk. And I know I don't do that, but I know a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing. But it's like, no, I don't deserve that nice suit, or no, I don't deserve to go out to dinner. Even though they can afford it, they don't do it. And I think
It's like self-sabotage.
yes, yes. And it's like, why don't you open yourself up? And it's not like I don't want people to start getting entitled, but it's like, look, if your financial plan is healthy and you want to go enjoy a nice experience with your family or your loved ones, like go do that. Like that's what I want to inspire people to do is go do that. You don't need to sit at home and eat bologna every day if you can afford to go out to a nice dinner or a vacation or Costa Rica, bring it
Right.
back full circle. Like we can afford Costa Rica because you know why? My financial plan is budgeted accordingly. I've got enough money in savings that Rachel and I can retire when and how we want. So you know what? We're going to go to Costa Rica. That's why we're doing it.
I like it. Jake, I'll leave you with a quote from Winston Churchill.
Let's hear it,
You're gonna
Corey.
like this
Please.
one.
Please.
Money is like manure. It's only good if you spread it around.
Wow, Corey.
How about that one?
I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, good. Well, that's a good place to end our show today. Thank you, Corey, as always, for joining me. Hope you guys, our audience, enjoyed today's episode. Please send any comments, questions, anything you want to get back to us. Email to luke@falconwealthadvisors.com. We hope you have a great New Year. This will be out after New Year, so welcome to 2025, Corey. Here we are. We're recording in 24,
future,
publishing in 25. There we go. Have a great week, everyone, and we look forward to another successful season of Upticks. Thank you, Corey. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.